Weekend Flashback series continues on the mayor's office this week with one of our favorites, the incomparable Food Network star Jeff Mauro. Here's a taste of part one.
I was never going to be the funniest stand-up or comedian in the world, but I could be the funniest chef in the world. Yeah. So where can that happen? Like, what's the platform for that? And that's Food Network. So.
And I'm in love with the good life. Can't give it up. Make it to the top and keep climbing. I wanna live it up. The good life. I'm coming up. I'm coming up. The good life. Good life. Oh, good life. Good life. Good life. Good life.
Boom, Chinch, we're back at it, brother.
I know. I'm tripping out. I'm tripping out, man. I'm fanning out. It's funny, we work in sports, and you try to kind of get away. I have watched more of what this man has done over the last 5 years than I've watched Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Clayton Kershaw combined. And if you told me, as Italiano real quick, that, okay, you have a choice of this guy, De Niro, Pacino, to have on our show, I'm picking this guy, Sean. I really am. I'm not kidding.
That's high praise because Cinciamino is your last name, and I know you got the Italian connection. But this guy's kind of a jack of all trades. Like he's a chef, TV star, comedian, which I love too. Did some stand up. Loves being from Chicago. Which, if you're from Chicago, you would love being from Chicago if you're born and raised there. Has a podcast that he's going to do after this show called Come On Over with his sister Emily. I'm interested to see how that goes, if they ever butt heads on that one. Also has an unbelievable cookbook with the same name called Come On Over. Host of the Food Network show The Kitchen, which I was on, Chinch, a few years ago, and it was awesome. We had an absolute blast. So much fun. He won season 7 of the Food Network Star, which is big time. Most people know him as a sandwich king, but I kind of feel like he's going in the direction of higher, greater things. Yes. Let's bring in our buddy, Jeff Mauro. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, brother?
Fellas, hello, Sean. Nice to see you again, man. Yeah, last time we were on set outside in Jersey talking Pearl Jam. I forgot what we made. What did we?
We made waffles and chicken. Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles. Sean goes waffles and chicken. Nobody says it like that.
That's right. That's right.
Dean right here. He's a rebel.
Wait, hey, but about a week ago, you made the 5-way chili a few weeks ago on The Kitchen, right? That's Cincy case, right?
Oh, that's a Cincinnati.
Oh, God, I love it, man. Right on the spaghetti, with the little bit of warm spice in that chili, and it's like a thin, it's a tighter, it's not chunky, it's a finer grind. Oh, it's so good.
With like 16 pounds of cheese. You're like, hey, get the 5 pounds of cheese on there, and the bean, and in Cincinnati, when they beat it with the beans, the beans and the onions, call it the 5-way at Skyline.
Skyline Chili. And my co-host, Katie Lee, she worked at Skyline as a kid. Oh, so she knows all the rates. So she brought that recipe to us, and I guess it was a covert operation. She broke some international laws, but we figured it out, and it really is a special thing that on paper, if you handed me the menu description of such a dish, I'd be like, I don't want this.
I know.
Chili. I don't need spaghetti, But for me, man, you take that bite with that mound of finely shredded cheese. I mean, you can asphyxiate on the cheese if you breathe in too hard when you take your bite. It's so snowy and frothy on top. It's not like your average chili cheese. I mean, it's almost like the hairs of an angel.
No, it really is. And that show, what we did last time when we did the chicken and waffles, right? Is that what they is? Chicken? Not the waffles and chicken.
Animal.
So. And we were promoting like ballparks too, like what it's because some of the ballparks nowadays are like kind of next level. Like, so what would you eat when you'd go to White Sox games growing up? What was your go-to?
Oh, I do the Holy Trinity, and we just talked about this last week on our podcast. My sister Emily and her love of her life live-in boyfriend Michael Savage. We call him Michael Savage because he only wears Savage cologne. Sorry, he wears Savage Noir, the new one. Or Elixir. Sorry, the Elixir. And that was like pre-Johnny Depp trial, too. So he's like a freaking pioneer. This guy calls shots from a mile away. He's like, it's going up. He owns like 1,000 shares of Sauvage Elixir. No, so they went to the Cubs game, and they're young, they're having fun, they're doing things. But she hit the nail on the head. You get a hot dog, plain hot dog, steamed, wrapped in the foil from the box, from the guy, from the vendor, not the upstairs. Or not the
yes, the guy that's walking around saying hot dogs here, hot dogs here,
steaming. Yeah. You put it in your mouth. Then you get done with that because that's like a sneeze, right? And it's gone. Then you do a hot pretzel, but at the same time, you get the hot pretzel with plenty of. You got to get the mustard too, okay? But then you get the nachos with the cheese and the jalapenos on there, and then you eat, so you got the dunk in the cheese, but you also have the option for the yellow ballpark mustard. But with the jalapeno, slow you down a little bit, and you get the soft. You get the crunchy from the chips, the soft from the pretzel, right? The duality of texture. You watch. Who cares what game? Single A, double A, triple. Who cares? It could be, t-ball
So good.
with children that are blindfolded and just quite frankly asshole children, and you would still be happy eating that with about 3.5 cold beers.
How many dogs? How many are you gonna finish off in a 9-inning game?
I'm gonna do one, unless it's like $1 hot dog night, at the local, minor league park. But I would, if you're gonna eat all three of those, you definitely plus have 3 to 4 beers, giant beers. You're gonna have to pace yourself, but you always are left wanting more of a hot dog at a ballpark because if you do get it from the seat, it's less calories because you're not putting things on it, like. Right. You're not home. You're getting the onion and the cheese upgrade, the chili upgrade. They can't upgrade your chili, the vendor. They don't got a chili dispenser in that thing, that container of them. But that's a great idea. That guy would make a killer chili. Get stuck too, and it's like squirts all over the place.
Then you got to hand it down to 8 different people before it gets to your seat.
It's like a finger in your chili.
Oh my God, dude! So we're off and running.
It's like your buddy Todd's communal dip he brings to the party at 1:30 in the morning, where everybody's had at least 6 to 9 swipes. Things in there, pretzel rod sticking out of it. That's what that chili is going to be like. Everybody's going to have a dip.
Amazing.
Oh my God, so good, dude. What about you? What about you as a kid? Like, because I love you're talking about the dogs and what you're eating at the game. Like, we were talking earlier. Like, when people are from Chicago, you never know which way to go. Like, are you a Cubs fan? Are you a White Sox fan? So, what were you growing up?
I was a diehard Sox fan. My whole family were Sox fans. That's all. My dad would only bring us to Comiskey. My dad is from the Taylor Street neighborhood, which skews south. It's definitely not a north side neighborhood. It's more of a near west side neighborhood, but it's closer to Bridgeport and Chinatown and all that, closer to Sox Park. And so we just grew up with a love of Sox. And I came up like right in my formative years when Frank Thomas era.
Yes.
And Ozzie Guillen and all that. And I was like obsessed. And that was like, for me, this is, kids got baseball cards. You got the Beckett. You traded the cards. You watch stats. You opened up the paper and you saw the articles every morning. So I was really into it. And then I don't know what happened. Either I just lost the love of spectating the game, or I'm liking it to discovering girls rock and roll and.
Take you away.
The devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. Yes. Wait,
the girls were like, I like girls, but like, not that they liked me back, and I was too busy dating girls.
No, but I got to say one thing there that and give you credit for this, and not to be too serious, but when we were kids growing up, like being little boys, nobody really talks about little boys. It wasn't that easy because it's like, oh, you got to play sports, or you got to be the linebacker on a football team. That's how you get girls. And I got to give you credit, and people like you, GZ, all those folks. Like, you can be a 10-year-old kid right now and aspire to be like Jeff Mauro just as much as we all tried to aspire to be like Ken Griffey Jr. and stuff like that. Which is cool.
It is. Well, there's, athletics is not the only way to get attention as a kid anymore. And I think I discovered that, not to like slight it, it's an amazing way.
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
Carve a name for yourself in any program, in any school, and any level of education, right? You're a student athlete, whatever. It's great. But I didn't like running. I didn't like moving, And I was like, oh my God, it's like the mile run. Once a week, Coach Gray would make us do the mile run in gym class. And it was like, I couldn't sleep. Like, it's not like because I was like nervous to do good. It was like, I don't want to move. I don't want to run because I was always chubs,
Right.
So as things were moving and like, I couldn't take off my shirt at public swim, things of this nature. Like, so I was very nervous just to do this run. So I discovered very early that once I can kind of translate how to work a room or be a class clown and translate that to the stage, I was like, okay, this is my sport, theater, comedy. And my parents, much like most parents, like my old man, you might think on paper, if you saw him, would be, I wish my son was a football player. He's 6 foot something. You know what I mean? He's a big guy. Why isn't he playing football? Why isn't he playing? Dang, my son's good. But no, he loved that I was in the performing arts, and my parents supported it from the first day I had any inkling that this is something I might want to do.
Hey, can you go back for a second? Because the only reason when you say this, I was kind of that kid too. I was like kind of the chunky guy for a few years. I remember going to parties. I'd be like, tell my buddy to push me. I'm like, push me in the pool with my shirt on. I'm like, can you push me in really quick?
That's a good move, man.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm like, my buddy Mike Junk. I'm like, Junk, push me in. He's like, why? I'm like, because everyone's here, the 6th grade girls. I was like, if you push me in, I'll be like, oh, Junko's an asshole. He pushed me in, but I got my shirt on in the pool. But I do remember though, like. I do remember, like if it did affect me sometimes, because your buddies, guys are calling me a lard ass sometimes, and it affected me even in baseball, like because I wasn't the fastest guy ever, I didn't run that great or whatever, I didn't look like the total athlete on the field, but like. There were times I kind of put the chip on my shoulder. Like, I don't know if it was the point of I'll show you, you know what I mean? Or man, I'm going to work harder or whatever it is. Do you think that like growing up as maybe the chunky kid, I know for me, it did, it definitely impacted me. And I don't want to say maybe it still does to this day about staying in shape and stuff, but do you think it impacted you about how you became such a success later on that was part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold. Number one, right? You spend even at young adult years in my 20s, even after I won Food Network Star 11 years ago. I mean, I've had moments of like I look at pictures of myself and I'm like, I don't ever want to be there again. And I never liked what I saw on the screen. So that motivates me, right? That just I don't ever want to be the chubby kid again. But also, kids that have that adversity or get bullied because they are different or chubby, whatever you're being bullied for, being different for, instead of fighting, which I was comfortable fight, like I was fine. And I happen to have some size and strength to me. So I didn't it never went but to diffuse situations, I always, reached into a bag of humor, and that was my superpower. And I was like, I can diffuse the situation because I'm always, my goal is to be the funniest one in this room. And you get more people on your side and then nobody bothers you anymore, So I think that is a lot of people that are comedians, comedy writers, stand-up, sketch comedians, whatever, have these traumas in their past where
they've all been fired up about it. Like David Spade. I've heard a lot of the guys talking ever since the whole Will Smith incident. Like a lot of their comedy came from, I don't want to get my ass kicked, or I want to have better friends and stuff. And it kind of does, it does mold you in a certain way, huh?
Yeah. And like, I come from a big family too. I mean, there's 4 children, my parents this was my way, I guess, of getting my moments at the dinner table was not to make my sisters cry like my older brother, not to cry like my sisters, but to break the ice and be the funny one. Cause it was a no-brainer for me. I mean, I got people to laugh and that made me feel good. And it made people feel good by laughing. So it's like, or my brother, felt really great pounding on us. Emily's nodding next to me. She's like, yeah.
No, it's funny when I look back, like my whole, like the mayor persona and all that stuff. I think back to those years of like, I honestly think I found ways to like be nice to everybody so that no one would not be nice to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, if I just kill everybody with kindness, even the kids that are kind of bullying me or telling me I'm fat and all this stuff, if I go at them with kindness, then hey, at the free, who doesn't want to be treated right? You know what I mean? So it's funny when I look back and I think, dude, I think those years of being a little heavier as a kid, no doubt shaped me, moving forward. It's so funny.
Well, it's also too, as you were a first baseman, right?
Yeah.
I when I played whatever ball as a kid, I was always first base. My dad was, and we always had a good reach. And, I think he taught us to be, it was always my favorite position because of the, obviously limited running. A, it was kind of great. B, but also you're like the MC of the offense, or you're like the MC of the whole game, right? If you get on base, you're lucky. You get to talk to me, right? And now I get to exchange with either throw you off with the joke or make you comfortable, which I think throws you off. I don't know. There's a science, and I know that you're probably the best of all time. I don't know. Did you have like a bag of like 12 things, or did you like do research, like a little? Did you pre-interview, do background checks on the new up and comers? Like, this guy, I know, this guy's scared of spiders and his mom's ugly. Got a big fat mom. I'm gonna work him.
It's funny you say that because I think there was a method to the madness over there at first. Like, you would see if guys got their. I remember one of the worst conversations I ever had was a guy named Milton. Remember Milton Bradley?
Yeah.
He's kind of like an angry. He gets his first knock in Montreal, and they put on the board Fred. And I'm like, hey man, way to swing it! Congratulations! You'll always remember your first one. Blah blah. And he didn't say a word to me, and I wanted to be like, oh yeah, and then I wanted to like kind of like hit him with the stunner or something. I'm like, hey. Like, what do you mean you're not going to respond back to me? But it's so funny looking back. Like, one time I was holding on Henry Rodriguez. Remember him? Oh, Henry. He was with the Montreal Expos.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it was my rookie year in '98. I'm holding him on, Jeff, and this guy Ron Vallone's on the mound, left-handed pitcher, the big rig. I'd just been called to the big leagues. I'm 3 weeks up there, and Henry Rodriguez gets a hit. And back in the day when he used to homer in Montreal, they would pelt him with Henry bars. Yeah. Like, they would just come flooding onto the field at Olympic Stadium, right? So I'm holding him on, and I'm thinking to myself, bro, I don't know if I'm going to be here much longer. Like, I can't believe I'm in the big leagues. Like, they're probably going to send me down soon. So I got to get as many good conversations in as possible. So I'm holding on Henry Rodriguez. He gets his lead. And I remember saying to him, hey, Henry, man, really, that's really cool when you homer in Montreal and they throw those Henry bars, on the field. And at the moment I say that, he turns to me. He's like, hey, thanks a lot, man. Right when he turns to me, Ron Vallone, the lefty, step off, pick over. I swear to God, I felt so bad. I catch it, and he's still looking at me. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing up here. I was like, you're out, but my bad.
Good tough shit. Oh, Henry, tell me.
Tough shit, yeah.
Stupid. I bet he's not posting a podcast.
That's true. Yeah, he's not posting a podcast. Yeah, he's not listening either. You know what I mean? God.
So mad at you.
Oh, dude. So when you go back and you look at, obviously, where you are now is amazing, but the beginning of your journey when you graduate from Bradley University, and then after that you immediately open up a deli, right, with your cousin. Is that true? So how did
most people do with?
I was gonna say, is that what most
my
people
wife's
do?
uncle had a deli for 13 years. It's amazing. It was the biggest thing. When I got to spend the last 2 years before he sold it, being part of that family that owned a deli, and I miss it. They all miss it. It was like the greatest thing in the world, right?
No, it's a magical place, and that solidified my love for sandwiches, obviously, and that's to me like the deli case, the deli counter. Right. It's like it's a stage, right? You slice the meat, you give them the first slice, you interact with the person, but you're still cooking. You're making everything back there all day. It's still food. It's creation. It's creative. But you have those one-on-one, interactions that just trying to make someone's day better with, one slice at a time. I'm going to write that down.
That is good.
I'm writing it down.
One pitch at a time, one slice at a time.
One slice at a time. The Jeff Mauro memoir expose.
What were you back then when you had your own deli? What was your go-to sandwich? Like, what were you known for a sandwich at that time?
We had we call it the roast beef lover, which is like rare roast beef, right? Good rare roast beef. perfectly sliced thin, no resistance. You take a fresh onion roll, you slather it in butter, and you griddle it, just the insides, right, until it's golden brown. And then a beautiful, like this aged black wax cheddar, right? Real funky, one slice of that, just enough, right, to feel it. And then you put on there crispy onions and a couple pickles, and then a homemade creamy horseradish sauce. It's a very simple sandwich, but like you take a bite of that and it's like, oh, like this is what an Arby's sandwich is supposed to taste like the last 40 years when I was alone in my car eating 5 for 5.
5 for 5, yeah.
5 for 5. The key to 5 for 5 is you pick your skinniest friend and you go and you split 5 for 5 with him. That was my buddy Matt LaCrome, and he'd only eat one, which means I was getting at least 4, maybe 3 3/4. Right? And they're like, "Should we split a curlies?" I'm like, "I want my own curlies." So like, I always love that, but I love that sandwich, and I love the simplicity of that. Griddled bun, right? It's soft, but the inside's still a little crunchy. You get that beautiful meat. But when you like pay attention to the ingredients, you can create this thing that's gourmet. I defy you like to eat like your aunt's roast beef right out of the oven with whatever she's serving it with, or this humble sandwich that just with a little finer detail, a little more paying attention, it elevates it. And I learned that at during those years, that's what kind of really solidified my love.
Obviously you're known, you're the sandwich king, I think a lot of people know you as that, but what is the key to a good sandwich? Because I love a good sandwich. I know Chinch does too, but like, what's the key to a good sandwich?
It's restraint. Right?
I get that.
It really is. It's proper ratios. It's not like I can put everything on this. I can get a little nutty. Rather than, overdoing it, understate it a little bit, but everything you use, treat it well, right? Your bun, like how many guys, and I say this all the time, this drives me crazy. We're right in the beginning of grilling season. You go over to your guy's house, right? You bring a 12 pack of the good stuff. You bring a bottle of brown. You're like, here we go. And like in exchange for delicious food cooked on his grill, because this guy's got the thing, he's got the new tools, he's got the custom, he's got the apron that he got off the internet that says something funny, right? He's got the dog, he's got everything, the golden retriever, he's got the whole life. He's perfect. Everything's perfect. And then he makes this beautiful, I'm gonna make I got these Wagyu. Oh my God, I got them from Snake River Farms. They cost me $300 for 4 patties. You're gonna die. Unbelievable. He seasons them perfectly. He grills them perfectly. Your friend with the apron. You know what I'm talking about. You're like, she's a solid 4 to 7.5. You know what I'm talking about. And she brings out the lemonade. She puts little Tito's. Everybody's happy. And he makes you this perfect Wagyu burger. And then he takes the bag from the grocery store of buns, right? He takes the bag out and does 2 things. Puts this burger just right on the bun, right out of the bag. Or he's like, I'm going to toast these buns because that's the apron. And he takes the buns and just throws them on the grill for what is always guaranteed 6.5 minutes too long. So then you're left with this beautiful piece of meat, right? Sandwich in between this roof scraping, crunchy, crappy, dry toasted bun on that stupid $8,000 grill of his. And then there's like a bag of chips and then like some sweaty mustard where it's squirting out water. And then the Heinz, fine, take it. And then like the relish, everybody's knuckle dragging in. You know what I'm talking about? Like some weeping like giant cuts of tomato that are bigger than the Wagyu. And then you got the lettuce, which is just like literally a head of iceberg that you just do whatever you want. It's a bunch, it's like a pack of orangutans are just tearing at the lettuce. So you spend all this money, right, on this beautiful meat. Let the meat shine, but the bun it's going to kill it every time, man. So treat your bun as you would your meat. Why wouldn't you? I mean, 50% of the 75% most of the time of the whole experience.
So if you're making a burger at your house, I'm coming over. I'm the guy with the 12 pack here. Chinch got the Tito's. We're rolling in. We're coming to your house. What kind of buns are you bringing for us?
Well, the buns are never touching my grill. First of all, I have a side burner, or if you have a grill pan or a griddle pan. Right? What I do before I put any meat on the grill is I'll take that bag. You can store them back in the bag of buns, right? I'm not slighting bagged buns or, there's great ones out there.
Right.
So, Hawaiian rolls, Martin's potatoes are all good. What I do before, I make sure my butter's nice and room temperature, and I smear the inside of those buns with that soft butter. Keep them in the bag. So when it's time to go and the meat's resting, I take a flat nonstick surface like a cast iron griddle or a side burner with a nonstick pan, and I just do them slowly in batches and get them nice and golden brown on those inside surfaces. And then you can lay them there and then put your burgers or whatever it is you're doing, sandwich wise. But usually in another thing, another pro move while we're on the subject of bread.
Yes.
If you're doing
this
hot
is wonderful.
dogs,
This is wonderful. Yes.
Italian sausage, anything to help mimic that experience we love at the ballpark. Of the, the guy with the gut and the shoulder straps and the fur under the shoulder straps and those steaming hot dogs he throws at you like you're a son of a bitch. So what you do is you build the hot dogs, whether you grill them, steam them, sear them, and you put them in the bun. Then you put all the hot dogs back in the bag. We call that the Chicago steamer. And it sits there and you could hold it, tie the thing, and then let those 8 hot dogs in the bun steam within their own communal heat. Oh. And then you could plate them because you're doing the other buns on the griddle. Remember? I mean, you time it, but nobody's been like, oh, these hot dogs are going to be hot. Everything's going to be hot, but it's all about the bread, man, because steaming that hot dog buns are like built to be steamed.
Oh, that sounds good. See, I'm learning. I'm writing this. I'm actually writing this stuff down.
Wait, can you tell
my next barbecue? I'm going to dominate.
Wait, can you tell
the video, Emily? I'll send you guys the video where we're doing the Chicago steamer video.
Oh, sick!
It's so simple, but it's like so. All right, Emily's going to email it to you.
Oh, great! That's great.
Yes.
So excited. By the way, and can you explain to Sean, crust to crust is a must, right?
Yeah,
that's your go-to line. Do you know what that?
When you're buttering something, whether it's a bagel, a bialy, a piece of, country white that you're smearing with, that aioli you love to make, Sean, on weekend, whatever it is, you got to crust to crust is a must. You can't, don't just plop it in the middle and leave the rest up to gravity and friction.
Guilty.
I know.
Guilty.
That's why nobody likes you, Sean. But nobody come over.
I knew it was the bread. I knew it was the way I buttered the bread.
I can spend all this money on meat all year. Nobody comes back.
I got this great beef. You kidding me? This is free grass-fed beef. This shit's expensive as hell at Whole Foods. No one's coming over. It's because how I'm buttering the buns.
It's how you're buttering the buns. Simple moves like that.
So good. So good. Bro, Jeff, first off, I don't know if I've ever smiled like this. I've ever laughed like this on a podcast. So I don't know. I'm getting one of those little migraines, which I absolutely love. But just so I heard that you have done some stand up before you ever did Food Network stuff. You did some stand up. You kind of meshed. It's almost like the perfect job for you because you kind of took the culinary stuff, the dominating valedictorian, the cordon bleu, all that stuff. And next thing you know, you did a little stand up, and now you're crushing it on Food Network. What was it like doing stand-up? Was that like a scary thing for you?
I've done everything, right? I've done regional carpet commercials. I did every facet of theater from 3rd grade on. I've done Second City from the time I was junior high, grammar school, up and through high school, youth programs, everything. I've done sketch comedy. I've written my own sketch shows. I've written everything. I've done every type of performing. I've been in bands my whole life. I'm currently in a band with all the bunch of dads in the neighborhood. We play out at bars and we're pretty good, but we're not great and whatever. I love every minute of it. But to me, stand-up comedy is the hardest discipline out of any entertaining discipline. It's the most, you can't just dip a toe into stand-up. You have to dedicate your life to it. And I did it for years, and I was doing many nights a week and open mics where you're literally just doing stand-up for other comedians waiting to do stand-up for no money and very few laughs. And you just hone your set and your skills. And, I got to a point where I could do 20 minutes pretty well. And I never loved it. It made me it was the first thing, and sincerely the only thing I've encountered throughout my career, both amateur and professional, that really shuts me down and gives me so much fear, which I should probably be able to transcend at this point and work through and fight. But I don't have the lifestyle to build a hour set by going to 5 open mic, by 5 rooms. I mean, I could probably book myself places now, and I don't have to what I've realized is that all I do is stand up still. I'd say the same. I have a notebook. I have all my bits. I just happen to be cooking when I'm doing it. And that was that to me, that was, why don't you just do more shit that takes skill while you're doing this thing, and your brain will be okay with it. And that's what I do. Like now, I last time I did it was maybe 3 years ago, and I hosted. I called it Jeff Comedy Jam. It was during Chicago Gourmet Festival, and with all this food and drink, and I emceed it. I go up and I do 5 minutes. I go up and do 10 minutes. Go up and do 10 minutes, and then introduce the other comics. And it was okay. I did okay, but I can guarantee you I would have killed if I just did a demo. If I made a roast beef sandwich, started talking shit about Sean's horrible bread ideas.
So good.
I mean, right? I mean, but that's the big differentiator in my brain was, okay, I'll just cook. And I always did professional. I always made my money cooking, not doing stand-up. You know what I mean? So for me, this was the skill that I always loved and I was extremely passionate about, obviously still am. So I knew I never was going to be the best chef in the world, right? Michelin starred. I didn't want that. I didn't want to work in a restaurant nights and weekends. To go two ex-wives, kids that don't like me, substance. I mean, this is it's a hard world. Without, especially if you want to do other things, right? It's really you have to really dive deep into that. I was never going to be the best chef. I was never going to be the funniest stand-up or comedian in the world, but I could be the funniest chef in the world. Yeah. So where can that happen? Yeah. What's the platform for that? And that's Food Network. So. Yeah. I set my sights on that after we sold the deli, and I was in Tony and Tina's wedding, which was a big show in Chicago for many years. And I was in that for the all 4 years that we had the deli. So I'd make sandwiches during the day and I go do this Italian-American improv comedy wedding at night, 6-7 shows a week. So I was wow. I cut my teeth from the time I was 21 to the time I made it on television after 4 tries on Food Network Star, 4 auditions without making it. I finally, that was when I was 31. So 32, 33, who knows?
That's it for part 1 or 2-part. Jeff Mauro, Sandwich King, Food Network Star show. Part 2 tomorrow.